Hello, my name is Georgiana Iulia Crecescu, and I'm leading the initiative called How You Can Become a Leader. As some of you already know, this initiative helps people to understand their strengths and motivate them to set up realistic plans to become leaders. The initiative started with a written blog article, and now it is followed by several video interviews with leaders from Micro Focus, now OpenText organization. Today, for this episode, I have on the line Eduard Gricore, who will talk about leadership. Thank you, Eduard, for being part of this initiative.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and hello, and thank you for the invitation.
Eddie, before we start with a few questions I prepared for you for today, can you please say a few words about yourself?
About myself, so definitely around 20 years of experience in different roles. Most of that experience was built in finance, leading different teams in finance, more financial controlling, FP&A, budgeting, treasury, and then leading the finance organization in different companies. As well, I had the chance to experience different industries like FMCG, banking, IT definitely, and in the last couple of years, great experience in Micro Focus.
Thank you very much, Eddie, for this quick introduction. So let's start with the first question, which is actually more related to the first years of your experience. So I seen you have mentioned that you had several roles with different responsibilities, but I was actually looking to understand when you began your career many years ago, if you were actually imagining that you will be becoming actually a leader in this profession or in the organization you work for. So tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, it is interesting when you look backwards on how the career started and how things changed and moved through time. It's quite very interesting. I was never aiming for a certain role, like a position in terms of title or organization. I was definitely looking for experiences. I was looking to learn new experience and to understand what will be those type of experience that will help me to move forward in the career part. Now, in a certain point of time, yes, I was aiming like I want to become a finance director in an organization or I want to become a manager. So those kind of milestones were part of the career path that I was kind of projecting. But still, I was never kind of envisioning a certain organization or a certain industry. And aiming for experiences was a great driver for me in terms of constantly learning and adapting to the context, right? Because if we look on how technology is used today in the organization versus how this was used 20 years ago, I can say that many roles that were existing 20 years ago are no longer in the market, but also roles that didn't exist 20 years ago are now heavily available in the market, right? So that's a kind of change which you cannot necessarily predict, but you can become ready if you are looking for those type of experience. One of my favorite book is Great by Choice from Jim Collins. And he's kind of explaining few key principles which I'm applying through my career development. He's speaking around proactivity, discipline, paranoia, and I will come back to that, creativity, and ambitious. So he's kind of putting 5 factors as key drivers in the development. And the word great is on purpose mentioned there because he's also saying that good is the enemy of the great. So you should never get used with good. You should always look for great in terms of learning and experience. So keeping that type of discipline on the mindset, looking always to understand where those new areas are coming in terms of development could be powerful enablers for the career development, right? And just to give you examples, right? Everybody's talking about Web3 and how that will impact the future organization setup and the impact into the processes, right? Everybody's talking about now the chatbot or artificial intelligence and how that will impact the organization and the processes. So looking for those type of experience to understand and to explore will get you much more powerful and ready for different type of roles. And then once you learn that and you gain, you'll see that you'll become kind of ready to embark in different type of roles, definitely within the same organization, but then also in a certain point in time, if you want to do a change in life, that can also help you to navigate.
So thank you very much, Edward, for sharing this with us. And I think that it's a very, very valuable insight. Nevertheless, you've pointed out a bit earlier that you're using few of the strategies for your leadership style, right? So one of the things that I wanted actually to understand a bit more from you is if you can describe your leadership style and how you lead others, because I think that this is important as well for people to understand how they can develop their style and how to apply a style that will work as well for each of us, right?
Yeah. I mean, definitely there is no recipe in terms of the style, and kind of applying some own personality into the process is something that is highly required. Now, if I have to look on my style, it's a combination of more facilitator in terms of leadership style, in which I'm bringing people together, I'm bringing ideas together, and driving the interaction through the lens of the scope that needs to be achieved. But sometimes, depending on the situation, I'm shifting to a much more entrepreneurial style in terms of problem solving and setting up the direction and different type of methods approach. So it's a combination of both styles. Now, one area that looking quite closely is on applying more adaptive leadership style, because sometimes you just need to adapt to the context. You need to adapt to different type of situations that you are facing as a leader, and then of course approaching challenges through different models that could combine technical problems or could combine more broader functional problems through the lens of the approach.
Thank you so much, Edward, for these impressive insights. So being actually one of the leaders in the organization, you had the opportunity to work and lead people, right? So you have worked with females, with males, with people from different cultures. So I was actually thinking to understand a bit your perspective when it comes up to diversity and inclusion, because this is the topic which is mostly covered by many organizations at the present. And then on the other side, based on this topic, I'm quite curious to hear more about how you personally support women in becoming leaders in the organization. So tell us a bit more, Eddie.
Yeah, I mean, definitely that's part of how the leadership should be applied, and the first thing is encouraging and creating a culture of inclusion and diversity, and that's a huge kind of benefit from different points of view, because you are bringing ideas together, you are bringing different points of views to together, different type of people to together. And the way I'm leveraging this is definitely encouraging initiatives, encouraging ideas, encouraging communication and different points of views in a way that this will help everyone to learn and develop. And of course, everything needs to be in a very transparent and respectful way in terms of the approach.
Okay, Eddie, but when it comes up actually, because when you're a leader, you need as well to find a balance, right? And we have the personal life, we have the career path that we are actually looking to achieve, right? So having that said, can you please tell me how you balance your career, personal life, and passions? Is there such a thing as a balance? So tell us a bit more.
Oh, that's a difficult one, the balance between the personal and the professional, how it is kind of, it's sometimes it's very challenging and difficult, right? And the balance, it's something that it depends very much on the personality and the person, depends very much on the context, and depends very much on the job itself. Now, on a personal level, I have two daughters, which sometimes I found it much more challenging to kind of have my role as a dad than my role on the job, when sometime on the job I know exactly what I need to do, and sometime as a dad, and I'm finding my way through with them. So it's sometimes it's difficult to keep that balance, but there is no perfect balance, and there is no switch on from or off from personal to professional, right? Sometimes you are in the office and you have something to solve out, to solve or to sort it out at home. Other times you are at home and just an idea, it comes on the job, and you just write it and you want to apply. So you think through the lens of the context, you think through the lens of the priorities. Indeed, it's good to switch off from time to time to enjoy personal through different lens. Some of us like to travel, some of us like just to read a book or do something else. I have different type of hobbies, not many. Definitely, most of them are engaging the time with the family, with the kids, and doing different type of activities. On a personal level, one of my hobby that I have is around aquascaping. So it's kind of having a fish tank, and aquascaping is creating that sustainable environment in the fish tank, that you do minimum maintenance, and with and everything is self-sustaining in terms of the water and the environment in which the fish are living. So that's one of the passion that I'm having, and kind of challenge myself in getting to that type of balance. But even on this hobby, if I have to combine personal and professional, sometime when I'm looking on the aquascaping as a hobby, I'm also thinking from the organizational lens. And one area that I learned from aquascaping is that at the organizational level, sustainability requires time. Like in aquascaping, to get a sustainable environment, it takes time, and you need to do it in a kind of step by step and gradual. So that's a way of combining personal, professional, but also kind of looking to learn and develop yourself as a leader, definitely.
Yeah, so thank you, Edward. And I think that this is super interesting because we can see that as well. People from the organization are actually real leaders, but on the other side, they still have the passions. So it's super important as well to keep the balance. Nevertheless, Edward, we finally got to the last question that I have prepared for you for today. So I'm actually trying to understand a bit more from you how important it is to have a mentor to grow as a leader.
Definitely is very important. And having a mentor, it helps you to bring more structure, and it helps you to bring different points of views in terms of development. And combining potentially mentorship and coaching, it depends on the context, could be very powerful in terms of career development. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't have a mentor, you'll not develop or you'll not grow in your professional life. But a mentor can accelerate your development or can help you to get more clarity in terms of your next steps, or potentially what type of experiences you want to look and get a bit of rewarding behind in terms of feedback and insights. And there is also a kind of third element that I'm associating to the mentorship, and I'm calling that role models. And in addition to the mentor, what I'm recommending to have and to identify role models, which could be from different teams, different functions, different organizations, could be in a way that it helps you to understand what type of capabilities, what type of things you want to have, and as an inspiration from those role models. And combining mentorship with having some role models in your head in terms of inspiration could be very, very powerful in terms of development.
Okay, so thank you, Edward, for the feedback that you've provided to us today. With this, our interview has come to an end, and we hope that through the experience Edward shared today, we inspired a few people and hope a few of you are already wishing to become leaders. Thank you again, Edward, for being part of this initiative, and thank you to all people watching the initiative. Stay tuned, a new episode will be released soon. Thanks again, Edward. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Georgia. Thank you.